Well, I want to welcome Travis Bam Bam Davis to the show. You are making your Bellator debut here coming up, man. But for people that don't know, you are a former Marine. You train at Ronin Training Center. You're 34 years old. I want to thank you for your service. How was your holiday? How was your 4th of July, man?
It was good, man. Honestly, I didn't do a whole lot. We had a a long, hard sparring session on Saturday, so pretty much just sat around yesterday, and just kind of enjoyed the couch.
Took it easy, yeah, for sure. That's all I did too. It's kind of a day of relaxation. You're making your Bellator MMA debut here at 262 against Johny Eblen. He's a tough cat, as you are. You guys are scheduled to kick off the main card. So, for people that have never seen a Travis Davis fight, what can they expect?
Excitement, man. I always look for the finishes. So, it's kind of, in a way, it's hurt me in the past. Some of my losses, I've come out a little too aggressive and, have burnt my gas tank before. So, I've had to make changes and grow as a fighter as I've, got more and more professional fights. And, I have I think out of my 10 wins, I think I have like 8 first round finishes and 1 or 2 second round finishes. So, I mean, almost all of my fights other than one have, I usually try to finish the fight. And then, my losses, I've lost by a decision, twice. And, I lost by a cut over my eye in one fight. So, that was, one of those ones that you wish you could get back for sure. But yeah, man, I'm, I like to win. I like to win quickly. I like to be dominant. I'm definitely, I look for finishes, it's so I think people like to watch me fight because I'll bite down on the mouthpiece in exchange with you, or I'll take you to the ground and see if your grappling's better than mine, or wherever it goes, I feel pretty comfortable. So, yeah, man, I just like to fight. I love fighting. I've been doing it for, 10 plus years now. And, it's just something about it, man, the competitive side of it, and just going out there, getting into a cage with another grown man and seeing who's going to walk out with their hand raised.
Right. You definitely excel at it for sure, brother. You have experience in both the light heavyweight, kind of like the 200-pound range, and then of course middleweight. This fight at Bellator is going to be in the middleweight. Do you have a preference, or does it kind of wherever the chips fall, you'll go?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I said I had a preference, it would be 185, just because I feel like that's more of a natural weight class for me. When I'm eating healthy and my body weight, my body fat's low and stuff, I can make 185 fairly easy. I've had people tease me before about trying to go to 170, and man, that just that just seems like unrealistic sometimes.
Torture, yeah.
But yeah, man, I'll fight a light heavyweight. Most of my training partners, almost my whole career, were are light heavyweights. So I've always been training with guys bigger than me. So I'm used to moving, guys that are bigger and heavier and stuff. But, there's been several times, especially when I'm getting down to fight at 185 and all, I'm with my training partners who are 205ers. It's challenging, man. It's challenging to move a guy that's got 25 pounds on you and get him off of you. So right. It's, 185 definitely feels comfortable for me. But like I said, I like to fight, man. So if they say it's at 195, it's at 200, or it's at 205, if it makes sense, yeah, I'll jump in there and trade leather with somebody and see what happens.
You do like to fight because it's not just in mixed martial arts, right? You're a 5-0 undefeated professional boxer too. You recently have a victory over Dennis Vance on June 4th. Do you have a preference? You like boxing better or MMA or?
I like MMA better, man. I mean, that's where I started, was with MMA. I love MMA. But if you want to ask me which one do I like better training wise, I like boxing way better.
Right. Okay.
It's a lot easier. It's bag work, mitt work, running. You're doing your road work or jump rope, and sparring, man. I love sparring. Honestly, I hate doing bag work, even though you have to do it. It's not one of my favorite things. I like the anxiety and the movement of someone trying to punch back at you much better. So I would spar 10 or 15 rounds before I'd want to go hit a bag for 8 rounds. You know what I mean? Because it's just like you're punching it. I like the movement part of it and stuff. And I really like boxing, man. It's kind of grown on me over the last couple of years. I started out more of a heavy grappler style MMA fighter. Honestly, my 7 amateur fights that I had, I probably only got hit in the face like 3 or 4 times total. If someone swung on me big, I just put them on their back and look for a submission or TKO them on the ground. And then when I lost my first fight by TKO as a pro, I was 4-0. And then my 5th pro fight, I got knocked out by Sid Wheeler, who was like an up and coming prospect at the time. And I went into the fight with, a torn medial and lateral meniscus in my left knee. When he actually dropped me, my knee completely dislocated and went out. So when they went to stand me up after the fight was over, I couldn't even walk on the leg. So I had surgery like 3 weeks later, and I couldn't do any grappling for probably like 2 or 3 months, but I wanted to keep training. And obviously losing by knockout, I felt like that was a good opportunity for me to start working on my hands. So I found a boxing coach, and I think it was about, 3 months after my surgery, I had my first pro boxing fight. And then 2 weeks later, pro boxing fight. Then a month later, I had my 3rd pro boxing fight. So I just kind of got into that rhythm of boxing and training boxing a lot, which, to be honest with you, it kind of hurt me when I first got back into MMA because I was so hyper focused on wanting to get my hands better that I kind of lost touch with my grappling aspect. I stopped going to jiu-jitsu as much, and I stopped doing the wrestling practices as much because I just wanted to keep working my striking. I was like, man, there's just so much to learn as far as range and timing and footwork and stuff like that. But I got back to my roots of the grappling side again. And, I think I was a white belt or a blue belt then. I got my brown belt. I competed, placed at Worlds the last 2 years, won Pan Am's last year as a purple belt. So yeah, man, that's the tough thing about MMA. It's, you got to train all of it. You know what I mean? You can't just take one and think that's going to get you to the top, because as soon as you get there, you run into the guy that's better than you and and he's able to implement that game,
Oh yeah. I was going to mention too, people shouldn't get it twisted. All this talk about your striking accolades, but like you said, you are a BJJ brown belt, and you do hold 6 submission victories. So
yeah,
do you find it more satisfying to knock a guy out unconscious or to put him unconscious in a choke?
Knock him out, man.
Yeah.
Obviously that's what a lot of fans want to see. They want to see the knockouts and stuff, but submitting the guy is just as honestly, sometimes it's easier. It's easier to get the submission than it is to get the knockout. Some of these guys have really good chins or good head movement, good footwork, and it's hard to land that punch you need to put someone away. But you'd be surprised how many people slack off on the ground game because either they're really good wrestlers and they don't think they're going to get taken down, or you're a good wrestler and you out wrestle their jiu-jitsu. There's been plenty of guys, where you see really good jiu-jitsu guys go against wrestlers, and then the jiu-jitsu guy can't pull off the submission. And it's in the fights, usually it's a lot harder. It's easier to get the submissions early. If you look at most of my submissions I think almost all of them are either in the 1st or 2nd round. It's a lot harder to get those submissions in the later rounds. That's usually when I think it's the knockouts are easier to get. The guys are more tired. Their arms are tired. Their legs are tired. The footwork slows down. The hands start to come down to their waist. So yeah, the knockouts happen. They can come early, but they're a little easier to get later. And the submissions usually come earlier, harder to get later.
Yeah, it makes sense. Guys are more sweaty and,
Yeah.
as you said, tired. Getting away from fighting here for a second, man. If someone was to take your phone and look through and see like the last couple songs you've been listening to, what would they find in your I don't know if you use Audible or what kind of music service? What would they find?
Yeah, I use Apple Music on my phone, but man, I have a very, very weird playlist. I listen to pretty much anything from country to rock to classic rock, heavy metal, rap, old school hip hop. So I really like to listen to old school hip hop when I'm at going to the gym and stuff, because I don't know what it is about the beats and the stuff, the rhythm of it. Just kind of helps me loosen up when I'm warming up and stuff. And when I was younger, when I first started MMA, and when I was younger, I used to listen to like a lot of like heavy metal and stuff, because I always felt like you had to be like amped up and angry and stuff to get in there. And then as I started to get older and learn more, it's not very conducive to go in there and be all angry and like people jokingly say, like, I see red when I get mad or whatever. Like, it's actually a little bit better to go in there and feel more relaxed and stuff like that. I mean, the more relaxed you are, the more you're going to see things, notice things. And if you go in there pissed off, yeah, you can get finishes fast and stuff like that because you're amped up. But if you go against a guy of your skill level and you go in there and you try to take him out in the first 5 minutes, the first 5 to 10 minutes, and that doesn't happen, you can burn your gas tank really fast. So I like to kind of just listen to, a lot of like Notorious B.I.G., Tupac, a lot old school hip hop, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. It's just nowadays, I don't know. I don't want to trash it, but it's not what it used to be,
I'll hear a couple of songs here and there every once in a while now, like that come out that I'm like, all right, I can listen to this and stuff. But yeah, majority of it, I'm not a huge fan of, man. If you were to say, okay, you want to listen to I don't even know how half these rappers now anyways, but if you were going to ask me, I'd say put some old school hip hop on, man. That's what I would jam out to.
The name Bam Bam, is that a tribute to wrestler Bam Bam Bigelow, or is that just because of the way that you scrap?
Yeah, so I actually got that nickname when I was like 7 years old, man. My mom took me to a boxing gym, and the coach's son was about a year or two older than me, and they put me in there with him and had me sparring when I was like 7 or 8. And I just went, I went crazy on him. I just kept throwing and throwing and throwing. And I dropped his son. His son had been training for like a good year and a half or 2 years. And I dropped him with a body shot. And, when I was a kid, I had the bleach blonde hair. And so it was more of a tribute to Bam Bam from the Flintstones.
Okay.
Because he's like, man, he just went in there and he didn't stop throwing his hands. He was just like, bam, 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 bam. So that's why they started calling me Bam Bam. And, yeah, man, it just kind of stuck with me ever since.
That's cool, man. That's very cool that it's stuck this long, Johny Eblen, your opponent here in your Bellator debut, he's a tough guy in his own right. He's been unbeaten so far in his career. He's 8-0. Are you a fighter that, some fighters, they really kind of dig into their opponent and see where their weakness is, and other fighters are just like, I don't care what my opponent's up to. I'm just going to worry about me. Where do you fall in that spectrum?
I'm like 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like my coach, my coach does most of the scouting for me, and I rely on him a lot to look at, do all that homework for me. I don't. It's not that I don't like to watch it. I do, but I'll only watch it like 1 or 2 times because if you hyper focus on what they're doing and what they're good at, sometimes you get to implement what you're good at, and but at the same time, you need to know what your opponent does. If you can get that kind of information, it's super beneficial. So, yeah, man, I watched video on him. I have my thoughts on what I need to do to stop him from doing what he likes to do. And, the other thing is, man, it's, I don't know I can't remember when his last fight was, but these guys like myself, we're always in the gym, always evolving. So if you sit here and you look at 3-4 fights and you're like, okay, this is what he's going to do every single, this is what he does. This is what he does. He might have completely changed his fighting style in 6 months. And I wouldn't say completely, but he might have added a bunch of different stuff, or he might have a completely different game plan for me than he did for one of those other fighters. So I try not to get too hung up on it. But again, like I said, I definitely do watch I'll watch a little bit of footage. I'll watch, some of his previous fights. And I really I look to see what he does, but I also try to pay attention to what his opponents are doing, what are the mistakes that they're doing to get put in the position they're put in, and then that's where, we'll drill. We'll just drill. We're drill looking out for this or drill looking out for that, and just being ready for anything. Because I think a lot of times people kind of get sidetracked where they'll just be like, all right, he comes in super aggressive, so I'm just going to step back and land that one punch knockout. Well, it's like never happens like that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It ends up being way more to it. So you have to be well prepared. And I think my coach has done a really good job. My coaches, I should say, have done a good job at scouting Johny and, figuring out how we beat this guy.
Yeah, Bellator definitely knows what they're doing. 262 is a sneaky good card. There's some really intriguing matchups on it. And like I said, man, I believe that they put your fight, you and Eblen, on to kick off the main card because it's gonna be fireworks. And that being said, I really think that your skill set matches up favorably against Eblen. I really do.
I agree, man. I've watched him, and I think that, I mean, when they called me for the fight, and we looked him up and stuff, and I didn't see a lot of footage on him, but I was like, you just from even on paper, just looking at it on paper, like the way he fights and stuff, it's a good style for me. It's a good matchup for sure. I know he's tough, and he comes from a really good gym down there at American Top Team. He's got a lot of solid training partners. I don't come from a very well-known gym. We have a couple of Dan Spawn, who's been on, the Ultimate Fighter, and he just finished up his season with PFL and stuff. But I cross train with people all over Ohio. I go train with Matt Brown when I can, and I go up to Strong Style with Alexa Kamor, and they have a good group of guys up there as well. So I'm getting different looks and seeing that top level competition. And I've been at this game for 10 plus years, man. I remember when we first started training 8 years ago at Buckeye MMA. It was the gym here in Columbus, and dude, the training that we did then is completely different than the training we do now. That was like people joke about like shoot box gyms and stuff. That's how it was. Like we would go in there, we didn't warm up, we just put our gloves on and start throwing bolos at each other.
They're beating the hell out of each other. Yeah.
Like we'd start wrestling class off with head-to-head, head battles where people are getting head-butted, black eyes, cuts all the time. It was super aggressive training. Now we're way more like controlled, and I mean, not that we're not getting hard looks, but it's just not as crazy as it was. So, yeah, man. I mean, I've been around for a while, and I feel comfortable. Like I said, I feel like this is a really good matchup for me, and it's going to be a great opportunity for me to come in there and knock off the number 5 middleweight in Bellator and place myself in the top 10 there. And hopefully, hopefully that's, they sign me to the multi-fight deal, and my success continues to grow over there in Bellator.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, you knock off Eblen, and then you said you're right in the mix right from jump. So,
yeah,
what I've noticed too is a lot of guys that were in the armed forces, especially the Marines, they translate so well to the fight game. It's just I'm not a Marine, but I believe it's just the mental toughness that you guys have, man. Is that a little bit of what it is?
Absolutely. I was already kind of like a scrappy kid when I was younger anyways. I grew up in a not so great childhood upbringing there was domestic violence, and I lost my sister when I was 18 to a house fire, and
Sorry,
so I dealt with a lot of, I appreciate it, man. I dealt with a lot of tragedies and just I kind of learned to grow thick skin and toughen up at a young age. And then when I went into the Marine Corps, man, I thought I was tough. I thought I was tough. And those guys, they broke me down, man. They break you down, and they push you to your limit all the time, and then they build you back up. And it's just that never quit mentality. It's fight or die. It's when you're in the military and you're going, and you might get deployed overseas to Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever they're going. That's the real deal, man. A cage, we have a referee and someone to stop it when things get bad. Over there, you don't have that. So they really do a good job at making sure you're prepared mentally and physically to do that. And that's probably why I think it translates over to the MMA and fighting so well. Just because you have that you never quit mentality. Go out on your shield, or go out on your sword, and it's live or die out there. So and I just, man, I fight like that. I don't like to lose. If you want to beat me, you gotta put me away. I've lost, like I said, I've lost a split decision fight. I lost a unanimous decision fight to Dom Steele. I took that fight when I was like 6-1. People thought I wasn't ready, and I gave Dom a big run for his money. I just wasn't in good enough shape, to be honest with you, at the time. I took the fight on like 3 weeks or less notice against him, because I saw the opportunity of, if I beat this guy, I get to the next level. You know what I mean? That's my shot to get a call up. And unfortunately, I won the first round and a half, but after that, he took over, and I was gassed, man. But you learn from those mistakes. You make sure that you put in the time, that you put in the effort to make sure that doesn't happen again.
For sure. Well, Travis, I want to wish you the best of luck, man, on July 16th against Johny Eblen. I believe it's going to be it's my pick fight of the night. You guys both have the ability to put on incredible performances. I'll be pulling for you, brother.
I appreciate it.
For sure. Before we get out of here, though, take a few minutes, man. Shout out your sponsors, coaches, whatever you'd like. Floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. Yeah, man. Huge shout out to my sponsors, Supzilla. Supzilla. We got the training room, Central House, Spine and Joint, Atlas CBD performance products. I got to give a shout out to my management team, Jason and Iridium. They've done a great job this last couple of months getting me all these interviews, this last couple of weeks, and getting me these interviews and stuff with you guys, getting my name out there, getting me this awesome fight on the main card on Showtime against Johny. And of course, I got to give a shout out to my fans, man. My girlfriend is a huge supporter of me. She's been helping me chase this dream for like 6 or 7 years now. And my friends back home in Upper Sandusky, all my family, I mean, they come to every one of my fights. I got a bunch of people driving up to Connecticut to watch me fights. They've already got tickets and stuff. That's awesome. So I got to give a huge shout out to those guys, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without them. If you don't have a following, you don't have a fan base, it's hard to get picked up on that next level, So I'm excited, man. I'm stoked. And I know they are too.
Well, I wish you the best of luck again. That's Bellator 262, July 16th. And again, I'll be pulling for you, brother. Best of luck, man. Go get him.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Take it easy, brother.
Have a good one.